Welcome back to the podcast Live the Land. I'm so excited that you're back for this episode, specifically because in this episode, I am going to take you to one of my absolute favorite places in Yehuda and Shomron. By the way, from now on, disclaimer, we are going to be referring to Judea and Samaria as Yehuda and Shomron. That's its name in Hebrew. We should get used to it. So what is my favorite place? One of my favorite places, definitely up top there, is Ancient Shilo. Ancient Shilo, Ancient Shiloh. It is an incredible archaeological site. It has some of the most breathtaking views, and there's something there that you really can't put into words. You just have to be there. I've been guiding there for almost 20 years, and I actually started guiding there as a fresh, brand new guide. I was doing my national service in that region, so I was there almost every single week. But I want to actually talk about why it's so powerful. And I want to start by diving into the book of books. Imagine the people of Israel are wandering the desert for 40 years. And finally, after those 40 years, they come into the land under the leadership of Yoshua bin Nun, Joshua. And there's a bunch of wars. And in the midst of all of that, they come to Shiloh and they come there for the first time to create something. And this is what it says. I'm reading ahead. Yoshua 18, Pasuk Aleph, passage 1. ויקהלו כל עדת בני ישראל שילה וישכנו שם את אוהל המועד והארץ נכבשה לפניהם. And all of the people, the congregation of Israel, gather in Shiloh, and they build there the tabernacle, and the land was conquered before them. Wow. It's the first time in history that the people of Israel are finally in their land. And not only are they coming together, because we did that a little bit before in the chapters before this, and we'll probably hit that in a different episode, but they're coming to actually build something together, and not just anything. They're coming to build the house of God. I think that there is no bigger symbol of unity that exists in the world in the biblical story. Really, it's insane. All the 12 tribes, all the different subcultures, right? They're coming together and they're building one thing that is going to be the thing that unites heaven and earth. The house of God, a place that will birth in the future, the house of prayer for all nations. And so this really is the epitome of unity. And I'll even say that to this day, there has never been a time that I've taken a group, any type of group, secular, religious, left, right, any type of group, to the space where the tabernacle stood, and there weren't like tears of joy or just really, really, really moving experiences. I've heard of so many healing experiences, just incredible. Like imagine I'm standing there with my group of like women, we're having like a whole women vibe, and then there's a group of African Christians that are crying and like dancing spiritually. And then there's like Hasidim, ultra Orthodox Hasidim waiting to come pray. Crazy stuff. So the question that I want to actually ask before we get into one of the most interesting interviews that I've ever done in my life, this is the question that I want to ask. How can it be that a place that literally unity screams out from its roots is such a disputed area? How is it that the place where prayer is born from, right? Hannah's prayer happens there. The place where Samuel the prophet, who's going to unite the whole country, the place where the tabernacle stood for almost 400 years, how can it be that it is the heart of so much conflict? A place that people think, when they think about Shiloh, they think security issues, they think war, they think danger, they think conflict, they think crazy extreme settlers. That's the question I want to ask. We're going to dive into an interview, and I thought the person that would be perfect to kind of like understand this deeper is Marc Provisor. Marc is an absolutely fascinating human. Not only just a fascinating human and a great guy, but he served as the head of security of this region during some of the most tumultuous times, the most dangerous times during the Intifada. This man has seen more than you can even imagine in terms of security and terrorism. And on the other hand, he's an artist. So this is an interview that you definitely don't want to miss. And I'm going to ask you to stay on at the end. We are going to dive back into the passages and maybe understand what is it about this space that is relevant to us today? What is it about this space that, how is it that there's so much conflict? And maybe if we understand that, we can reach a space where there won't be. Enjoy this interview, and I'll see you on the other side. Marc Provisor, it's awesome to see you. Welcome to the podcast. I am so excited to bring our viewers into your studio. I'm not telling them which studio this is because you have more than one, but I'm it's amazing. Stepping foot there in live, in person, and meeting you is a must see, in my opinion. It changes the
Thank you.
soul. And so thank you for being here. And I want to just jump right in. Where are you videoing us from?
Well, right now, I'm in my home studio in Shiloh, right next to Shiloh. In fact, from my windows in the studio, I look at the site of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, the first capital of Israel. So that's where we're talking from, right in the heart of it all.
Wow, what an inspiring place to paint. That's incredible. I want to take a little bit of a dive, right? You have a studio both here in Shiloh and also in New York. Before we get to that
Correct.
back and forth and how that happened, why Shiloh? How did you get to Shiloh? Why did you choose to live there, raise your kids there? Why does Shiloh matter?
Well, when we first started after our first child, I'm not a city guy. So we were living in Jerusalem, wanted to get out, and we started looking at various places. Most first in the around the hills of Jerusalem, but just didn't find a community that just didn't find it exactly. I came up here for a Shabbat, visiting a friend, and while I was in shul and synagogue, they were calling up to the Torah. A lot of the guys who had just finished the army and finishing their little treks afterwards, and I was looking at these kids, and it was something. They were different, sort of diverse, if you will, but something that they all had in common was a certain strength and beauty and strong identity and ties to our land and our people. And that was one of the things that I had hoped to be able to give our children. And that's really why we came out here. Not, and it's not cause related, not, no agenda. Wanted a beautiful place to live with good people. And that's what we found in Shiloh.
You didn't search for it, it found you. You found it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's interesting because I think that a lot of times when people think about like the types of people, like you said, the people that were there, like the children and the diversity and the beauty of that community is what pulled you. And when I think of how maybe our viewers have heard about people who live in Shiloh and live in the settlements and even people in Israel who just aren't aware of the area of the actual communities in Shiloh and the likes, would probably never identify the people living there as diverse, and they most likely would say these are extremists, crazy people, and it's fascinating that that's actually what pulled you.
Well, I think that most people that rely on the media to get a picture of what's going on in Judea and Samaria really have got it wrong.
Yeah,
Once people actually visit and see, they see a very different picture than what they're hearing about. Whereas, the media is portraying everyone in Judea and Samaria some axe wielding lunatic. It is far from that. First of all, it's a very diverse region, as
yeah,
diverse as anywhere.
yeah,
Between you have religious, you have secular, have various political spectrums, and it's really special. It is a great cross section of the country. It is a an area and people that represent really the strength and the commitment of the our people living here, and
yeah.
it's something wonderful.
It's beautiful. It's the opposite of what people think. It's funny how that happens in
Absolutely
life. So you are sitting and you get to paint literally like a stone throw away from where the tabernacle stood for 600 and 369 years.
correct.
That's wild. What does the landscape say to you? Like when you look out on those hills, like what do you feel? What does it do for you?
Well, I feel very connected. It's I feel one really with the land. Um, it speaks to me. It's a connection. I don't. One of the reasons I can't really put it into words, and that's why I paint. And
Yeah.
it's just something I love it. I feel it's part of me, and I'm part of it, and
Yeah.
that's what it does. I mean, we talk about people, reading the Bible and everything, but when you live in places like this, you're not reading it, you're living it, you're
Yeah.
feeling it. It's not,
You're writing the
you're reading
pages.
stories. Well, no, but we're reading stories, and this also goes for the kids, growing up around here. They'll read, oh, this place and this place, and for them, it's not in the past. It's not some story. It's reality. I
Yeah.
mean, you'll hear things and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I had coffee there. We went hiking in that area." It's
Yeah.
time doesn't matter anymore because it's real,
Yeah.
and that's a big difference.
Honestly, you've just actually illuminated something that I haven't thought about it in this way. I take tourists all over Judea and Samaria.
Mhm.
And a lot of times I really say, this is the only place that you can open up this book and point to where it happened. But if I'm thinking of the experience of reading a book, like any book, like you read the Da Vinci Code and you've never been to Italy, and you can like
Right.
imagine in your brain and you can look it up on Google and you're like, wow, it's this faraway place in this land and these things happen. But really that experience of being in it, of the
Yeah.
relevant, is if you don't have to use your imagination at all. Your kids reading the stories about Eli and Hannah's prayer. They don't have to like go, oh, I wonder what that looked like. They're like, oh yeah, it's our backyard.
Oh, absolutely. But they go way beyond that. When you listen to how Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, how they transversed the land going from north to south.
Yeah.
That's my main road.
Yeah. It's your
That's
road
my
to work.
main
It's your
road.
road.
And
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't even realize, we have an incredible, incredible privilege.
Yes.
When you go through down that road, Road 60, also called the Road of the Patriarchs,
Yeah.
we're seeing the exact same landscape that they saw. And we're seeing a landscape physically that Moses didn't get to see.
Yeah.
What a privilege.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it and we're living it.
And
And
you're
it's
painting it.
I
Some of us take
painted,
it to the next
yes.
level and paint it. We have it
Yeah,
forever,
yeah,
which is
absolutely.
actually beautiful because
Absolutely.
that really is, Mark, that essentially is kind of what you're saying. There's like, I'm reading the book and I'm seeing it, I'm driving it, I'm living it. And you're also interpreting it. You're showing other people the version of
Through
that
my
land
lens.
through your lens, which I think is literally so unique and so special. Especially at a time when, like, I don't know, the world's going into this, vortex of everything being fake and, and computer generated. There is no more human
Yeah.
lens. Essentially, we're losing the human lens. So artists, especially one of yourself, it's a unique and priceless thing. I want to actually point to our viewers or turn to our viewers for a second. If you want to explain, like someone standing here, coming to your studio, coming to Shiloh, what would it feel like for them? What would it look like for them? Like if you could even show us maybe if you want.
Well, coming to my studio, you mean?
No, I mean
Um,
like you're walking through Shiloh. Give us the atmosphere. Paint it for us without physical paints.
it's a small village in the hills. When they say it's a community. It's, it's really when you go outside of almost anywhere that you're talking about the States, you're going outside a small community. That's what it is. People are nice to each other. Hi, how are you? And this stopping, you're at our little markets or something. It's beautiful. The amount of children is incredible running around here. It's
And they're all free. They
it's
run
really
around like
they really do. When the kids always say like after whether once they move out and everything, and sometimes they're starting in the city and so they all really want to come back. They love the quiet of the land, the air, the kids grow up outside. All right, I know
yeah.
nowadays in terms of the internet, things are a little different, but they're outside. They're playing. They're free. It's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that we raised our children here and not in the city.
How long have y'all been there?
Well, in Shiloh, I'm here 32 years.
Okay.
In Israel, a
32
lot
years.
longer. But
What has
yeah.
changed since you got there and what has stayed the same?
Oh boy. When we got here, it was a much smaller community. Uh, it really, the entire region was a lot smaller in regards to population. Uh, didn't have much. There was really just a little marketplace, and that was it. Now, hardware stores, a couple of markets, clothing. It's like gotten a lot more comfortable, a lot easier. Besides the fact that shopping in Ariel or Shar Binyamin, I mean, it's changed. and really for the better. It's much easier to live here now.
Wow. Okay, so I want to move a little bit. You are primarily today an artist, but
Correct.
before that, you worked as the security chief, like the head of security in that region during some of
Yeah,
the worst times in our history, during the Intifadas,
correct.
and really up until relatively recently. Um, I'm sure that many of our viewers would be interested in hearing, like after October 7th, is Judea and Samaria safe? Should tourists be coming here?
You know, people ask me that all the time. Is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? And I look where they're coming from their cities and the states where they're coming from. And I ask them, is that safe? You know, Judea and Samaria has its challenges. First of all, this is not the Gazan border. This is not the Lebanese border. Do we have our
Yeah.
issues? Yes, we do. Things happen. Maybe
Yeah.
the way it appears, it's a little different, but I think it is safe. I think when people come here, you take necessary precautions, knowing who, and you know that you're being driven around. Let's say if you're on a tour by someone who understands where they're going and so on. It does have its challenges, but is it safe? Look, I just came back from New York. I arrived last night, and I feel a lot more comfortable
Welcome
going around
back.
here than I do in New York. Thank you. It's, I walk around here. I'm reading what's happening and so on, and you never know where something's going to crop. I not feel safer here.
Yeah.
I really do. I know
A
my
lot of my
area. I
tourists,
know
by the
what
way, do say
problems.
that. A
It's
lot of them do. They say,
simply
wow,
the
we're in
way it
Israel
is.
and like we feel so safe here.
Not only when you asked,
Um,
you said, should they come here? Yes, they should come here. People should come here and see the reality rather than, listening to I'll allow myself to some moron and the major news outlets depicting
yeah.
something that is minimal,
Yep.
making it appear like a totally different story. People
Yeah.
have to see for themselves because the mainstream media is not portraying what is really going on. So
Yeah.
yes, it's safe. Come out, experience it, meet the people, walk the land,
Come to
come to my
Mark's studio.
studio.
Buy a piece of art to take back.
Absolutely,
Decorate your home with the
absolutely.
beautiful lens of Marc Provisor. Well, I want to ask a personal question. So,
Yeah.
during your years of protecting the region, of working on ground in security, was there a moment
Yeah.
that changed you?
Look, I was in charge of security here during the Intifada. I was dealing with the two shooting attacks and bombings a day
Yeah.
for months on, and then it just went down to maybe just a few times a week. Uh, I don't know if I would say it didn't necessarily change me. I started painting as a young soldier in Lebanon in 1982.
Mm.
The painting for me was the way I process things. Speaking about various incidents and so on is not my strong point. So I use form and color to work through it. Uh, I stopped painting in 2002 because it was just too much. The
Overload.
attacks were too much. It was really overload. Everything I was painting became dark. There was one particular attack here was considered one of the worst attacks during the entire Intifada, not far from Shiloh. Um, and that stuck with me big time. So
Which attack is this
did
we're
it,
talking about?
this is the attack in Wadi Haramia. There were 10 killed, 12 wounded. It was quite
Wow.
an awful attack. I was right in
Right
it.
under your home.
Uh,
Wadi Haramia is literally right under
Not
Shiloh.
far, not
Yeah.
far. Yeah. And I was there, and that was quite a vicious one. One of my best friends got hurt very badly, and that's something that stuck with me and would reoccur, if you will. People talk about the concept of various trauma and so on.
Yeah.
So for me, driving down the roads, I'm reminded of a lot of the attacks that I had responded to.
Wow.
So, yeah, but that's just part of,
How do you
and it's
balance that?
something
Like the deep
important.
love, right?
Well,
Deep love for the land and the
well,
responsibility of.
um, I don't like people getting killed. It's very simple.
Very noble of
I
you.
do not. I do
It's
not like people getting killed, and my
yeah,
responses, and when I would go out to these attacks, that was my motivation. It didn't have to do again. I'm sorry to say, it didn't have to. My love of the land, my love of this.
yeah.
I don't like people getting killed, and I went out to stop people from getting hurt or killed. That was the motivation, and that's
Mm.
always been my motivation in my security work. I'm like a hippie in a sense, peace and love. That's what I want.
You are a true
And if I
blend,
ha-
Mark.
well, if I have to stand
Because
up
if you have to
to
fight,
help
you
people
fight.
get that, that's right. And let me tell you something that was always very important. And we talk about a reward for it, but when you bring a child home to their parents or parents home to their children from such a thing,
Wow.
the that's the reward. That
Yeah.
makes it all worth it.
Wow. Okay. Harsh shift over. Where are you today? Like, where is your artwork taking? Let's go into the art world for a minute because it's so unique.
So I
Where do
went
you hope
back
to
to
go
being a
also?
full-time artist. Well, I went back to being a full-time artist a few years back, and it's my first passion. I love painting. I love art. It's it's everything to me, and I decided to go back to it. So whereas I was all security and a little bit of art, now it's mostly art and just a little bit of security, really. I opened up a studio also in New York where I go and I paint out of the necessity of getting back into the art world and making a living out of art.
Yeah.
I love being in my home studio. This is really where I love to be. And I've been having exhibits. I just had a major exhibit in the Kennedy Center also, dealing with October 7th, because since October 7th, I created a number of works.
It's also
Um,
very personal for
but
you, October 7th.
b- big
I mean, it's
time.
personal for us
Yes. Yeah.
all, the whole country, but I mean, your son was at Nova.
My son is one of the Nova heroes. Yes. He got out, he took people with him. Thank God it's a miracle, and one that I think of every day. In fact, that's behind that painting there depicts when we met up a year afterwards. He wouldn't return to the site. I didn't go to the site, and a year afterwards, exactly, we met up there, and well, we both
Wow.
just broke apart and just were holding each other. And someone
Wow.
took a picture of it, and I decided to express that.
It's like
Um,
I
yeah,
can't imagine that. As a parent, it's like on one hand, it's your worst nightmare. And on the other hand, you can look at your son and say, wow, what a gever, like what a man that I've raised that was able to, in that
yeah,
chaotic
yeah.
place, save other people and you know?
So he attributes that. He said he grew up in the home of a Rapshat, of a security chief, and he said it's just something that he absorbed, and
Wow.
that's what he says.
It's,
But thank God,
it's a full circle right there. You never know, like, how,
yeah,
the in-betweens, what we do, how it affects the generations after us and what they take from it. I'm sure like your art and your work, it like all seeps in and it's so inspired from the land. Your security work is connected down to the land. You're painting next to the Mishkan. Like where I guess would you see it as a form of like real deep healing, your art today?
my the art, yeah, the
Yeah.
art, definitely. Like I said, it's the way I process things when I,
Yeah.
especially with when October 7th. I mean, I couldn't paint really for 2 months afterwards. I tried, couldn't, and then I produced some really horrific paintings.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen some of them. They're
but
intense.
yeah, so I mean, I just had to do that. But and like I said, it helped me. I started painting as a soldier during war,
Yeah.
and there were even times that during the last 2 years, and I painted under fire, which was
Wow. That's
wild. It was
that's a
something that
wild
I
thought.
wanted to do. Oh, it was crazy. It was I was up on the Lebanon border. I was doing an assessment of
Isn't
a
your adrenaline like
specific.
I'm an amateur
So no,
painter.
that's exactly
I'm
no,
like
that's
thinking like when I
exactly.
have to paint, I put
So
on my
hold it.
music, I'm in my vibe, I have to get
So
in.
wait. So that's exactly what I'm talking about because the adrenaline and that vibe that you're feeling, in a sense, under fire or in a security situation, it's a certain mindset. You're in a certain zone. When I'm fully involved in painting, I'm also in a different mindset. And it's also a
Yeah.
certain amount of adrenaline moving. And I wanted to combine the two. I
You're such
didn't
an artist.
I didn't expect to get caught under fire. That was different. And I'm up there
It's like
painting
quick,
and
get the
I'm just
paints.
doing this fast. Well, yeah, I was doing it really quick. I didn't want to take too much. I'm undercover a little bit. And then when the fire started, so the security chief that was with me he said, we got to go. I got to finish this. I threw on my vest and my helmet and
Did somebody take a picture of you?
I'll send you the picture. Yeah. And I have my paintbrushes
Wow.
in my vest where one of my magazines are, and I'm just
That's
knocking it off. The
I
explosions are going
can't.
on and all right, I'm done. And we're out. And
That's
I've done
incredible.
it actually in a few places.
That's
Uh,
incredible.
I have the reputation. They know what they say. Let him do his thing. But thank
Yeah, it's
God
like guys, make sure the
it was
artist doesn't get
intense.
killed. He's making works of
Yeah,
art.
right.
God.
Well, it was
Wow.
really it was wild. It was a wild experience combining the various types of adrenaline and that zone, and it was actually very meaningful. It was very meaningful for me.
Wow. That's incredible. So,
Yeah,
I'm like I have so many things that I want to ask. But I want to move
well,
into a
fire
little bit of
away.
some rapid fire questions for the end of our interview. So, you live in the heart of biblical Israel. If you could host any Tanakh figure, any biblical figure in your studio, who would it be and why?
Moshe Rabbeinu,
Why?
Moses. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to ask him to say, what you see today, is this really what everybody meant? That's why.
Like when you had the vision, he looked over. He never could come in. You could show him the land through a very interesting lens. That's
Yes, well, well, we were taught that he saw the land or whatever, but it would either be Avram Avinu or Moshe Rabbeinu, and just to say, have we gone where you had hoped? And if not, show us
direct
where
us.
we went off and put us back on the right path. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Sunrise or sunset in Shiloh?
I'd give him some coffee. It'll be really good. Oh man, the sunrise. So I wake up very early and I usually see the sunrise and I see the sunset, and both are incredibly beautiful,
You have to pick one.
mind-stoppingly beautiful.
You're an artist. You have
Uh,
to pick one.
I love the sunrise, the quiet
Ugh, man. I was hoping
uh,
you'd say sunset because I've seen sunsets there. I've yet to see a sunrise specifically in Shiloh. I've seen it in Eli,
sunrise.
seen it in Ofra, not in Shiloh. I
It's
guess I'm gonna have to come out
it's
one day.
beautiful. I love the quiet. I love the quiet of the sunrise, watching the earth move, really,
Yep.
and it's just
Yep.
I love it. The nature around, it's
It's
wow.
amazing.
It's just yeah.
Okay, what's more challenging? What's a more challenging role? Security chief or artist?
As a security chief, you are responsible for countless numbers of lives. That's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Uh, there is no rest. There is no real downtime. You are always on. It's something. As an artist, you're really responsible in a sense for yourself. Your mind is always on. You're always looking. You're always creating and everything. But I prefer the life as an artist. It is much healthier in a
Yeah.
sense. The security chief wrenches your soul.
Yeah.
And for those that do it properly, okay?
Hopefully
For
all are
those
doing
that
it
do it
properly.
properly, uh,
May they all do it properly,
well,
God. Amen.
exactly, exactly. But I prefer the life of art. Security chief is a much more difficult lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, listen, you've had your section of life really giving of yourself to protect the people of Israel and raising your children And now you're
Yeah.
able to have time creating and healing. And I think there's a really big power to that. Okay. Most underrated site in Judea and Samaria besides for Shiloh, because it's not underrated.
Most underrated
Like
site.
that everyone should see. You should add it to your list of places to see after Shiloh, before, either way.
It's hard for me actually to answer that because I think every place is really underrated and every place is
Now you
very
sound like a
different.
tour
No, I
guide.
mean we have it. It's a different. It's really the Jordan Valley is incredibly beautiful that a lot of people do not get to see.
Wow.
I think I would have to say the Jordan Valley because people do not simply don't get there
Honestly,
enough.
yes. You just gave me also, I got to do it. I'm going to have to bring our viewers to the Jordan Valley virtually because it is absolutely incredible. Everyone
It
sees it
really
as a
is, and a
pathway
lot.
like to get to the Golan. You drive through it.
They think, yeah, exactly. I mean, there are back roads in the Jordan Valley going down from Shiloh also there that are
Wow.
unbelievably beautiful,
Yeah.
unbelievably beautiful. And it gives a real insight as to the size of the country. When you look one side and you see the Jordan River and you turn your head around, you see the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Um, it's absolutely phenomenal. And I would say
Okay.
that's the most underrated.
Love it.
And it's a great, diverse place. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
What is harder to capture in a painting? Danger or beauty?
Huh. My paintings really are about beauty and chaos. So there's a
Okay.
little bit of both in everything that I do. There's always I find that there's always beauty in chaos and there's usually chaos also in beauty. So that's been my tagline, if you will, beauty and chaos. And that's why I usually paint on a couple of canvases, whereas at once, and that's why one painting can be a little dark and the other one is beauty. Uh, and and I combine them also.
What kind
So
of coffee do you drink? Hard Israeli, Turkish, or, Israeli coffee or New York
I
coffee?
no, I when I'm home, I'm drinking. It's usually Turkish coffee or what do they call it, like that French press something, like that. In New York, it's those pods. I don't drop off to all those artisanal cafes all the time. Not
Yeah,
my
yeah.
style.
I hear
Uh,
you.
but
I hear
here
you.
it's I love my Turkish espresso. I mean, it's changed. You asked, we said, what's changed in the area? Well, it used to be just regular Turkish coffee, but now we have
All these
espresso
options.
pods and all this. Oh, absolutely,
All the
absolutely.
options.
But
Okay, two
in
more
my
quick
studio, it's
questions.
usually Turkish. Yeah.
One is actually, I don't know if it's a rapid fire, but I do feel like I need to ask it. When people come to New York to see your stuff and they see that you're painting Judea and Samaria, what's the response? Like, do they understand the depth of it? Do they?
It depends. It depends. I usually paint, and I paint differently in both places.
Mm,
Um, I've been boycotted as an artist in an extent because of my past and where I live,
mm-hmm.
uh, which is a problem. Uh, but those who come actually to my studio to visit, they know and they see that. And a lot of people, it's funny, almost every landscape that I make with Judea and Samaria gets sold, usually when it's wet. And right now I even have two
Wow.
commissions to work on. In New York, I paint a little differently. It's the vibe of the city. It changes it. But it's interesting. It's interesting, the duality of worlds. And I paint that also.
Okay.
I've made two paintings dealing with that duality. And thank them.
Yeah.
They've been sold too, so all good.
Okay, and the last question. If you could choose one word to describe Shiloh, what would it be?
One word. I would have to say again, beauty and chaos. Really, it's what it
That's
is.
two
But
words. That's fine. I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. Beauty and cast
it's strength.
strength.
Also strength
This is so many
how
words,
would you say
Mark.
it? There really is because it's a beautiful place to live. Such a special community, and that's why I'm here so far. I
Well,
love it.
I am so grateful. I hope that all of our listeners and all of our viewers, first of all, are compelled to come visit. And second of all, are compelled to also fight the anyone boycotting your art. Come take a look at Mark's art. It's absolutely, it's really, really deep stuff. And I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for your soul that is creating and healing and inspiring and protecting from really the first place that we really united under God in the land of Israel. And it's so powerful. I hope to see you again soon in your Shiloh studio. Probably won't come visit the New York
Absolutely.
one. But thank you so much. Wow, what a fascinating interview. Marc is probably one of the most interesting people that I've ever had the privilege to sit down with. But I actually want to hang on something that he said in the interview briefly. And also, he's told me this outside of the interview, and that is how he actually got to Shiloh, right? He wasn't looking to go live in the depths of Yehuda and Shomron and be like a pioneer. That wasn't it. He was pulled by this diversity where he saw such a broad range of types of people and also this depth of connection that the people had to the land and to identity and their history, and that sold them. And this really does connect to the idea, the question that I wanted to kind of dive into. This is the space where the biggest unity happens, right? The people come into the land, they build the holy tabernacle, they unify heaven and earth while they are unified together. That to me is crazy. How is it that this space is a space of such conflict? And we heard it with Marc's story, like during his security times, and he didn't really even dive into all the depths of what he's experienced. Like the amount of war and conflict and death that literally just happens in that region. Why is it? How is it? So I think that there's really, really fascinating things in the Tanakh about this. And I want to kind of read it. We talked about passage 1, Joshua 18, where they build the tabernacle. But a little bit after that, in passage 10, it says this: וישלח להם יהושע גורל בשילה לפני אדוני, וחלק שם יהושע את הארץ לבני ישראל כמחלקותם. Right? And Yeshua cast lots in Shiloh before Hashem, and there Yeshua divided the land to the Israelites, each in their tribal divisions. Meaning, what else happens in Shiloh here? The land is divided. That map that maybe you've seen of all of Israel divided into the 12 tribes, that happens here, right? Yeshua sends them out. Go settle the land now, each tribe in their space. And can you imagine what that must have been like? I mean, these people, all they've experienced are different forms of unity before then, right? They are in Egypt under mass, persecution and abuse. That's kind of a form of unity. It's not such a fun one, but it happened. And then they're wandering in the desert, just hearing the word of God, like they don't have to like do any agriculture. They have their clothes and the pillars of fire and smoke and prophecy, Moshe. It's good stuff, right? And then they come into the land and they are literally willing to die for one another, fighting in a battle. And here, finally, each tribe goes to their space and they become homeowners and they have their land and maybe their herds or their flock or their vineyards, and they have to make schools, and they're with their tribe, and the land itself affects them, right? Like they have their view. This becomes their personal home. And that's so deep. Can you imagine what that must have been like? And really, there starts to be this pull of the me, of now I want to finally build my own space, my individual space. And that's okay. And that's really, I guess our whole lives is a balance between being an individual and being part of a collective, right? A people, a nation, a state, a belief, a religion. There's definitely that. But they kind of go too extreme to that pull where people just stop coming to Shiloh. They literally stop coming. The whole book after the book of Joshua is the book of Judges, Shoftim. And that whole book is literally one huge, it would be a great screenwrite, like a show, if someone wants to make a good show. It's like wars and just low spiritual levels, and nobody's coming to Shiloh. They aren't coming to that unity. They're supposed to come 3 times a year on the 3 holidays, and they don't. And the most famous passage that's like repeated over and over and over again in that whole book is En melech b'Yisrael, ish hayashar b'einav yaseh. There's no king in Israel, and every man does what is right in their eyes. Every person's in their me space. So this story represents unity or conflict. I would definitely say this is the beginning of conflict. More stories that happen in Shiloh. You have the story of Elkanah and Hannah coming to Shiloh. this is an outstanding story because no one's coming to Shiloh, and so them coming is a big deal. And what's going to be born from Shiloh? The prophet Samuel, Shmuel Navi. Shmuel is going to start fixing that conflict, start fixing that disharmony by anointing the first king. That's going to start uniting the people, Shaul. And then the second king, David, who will literally not just unite the people, but also create the united capital of the people of Israel, Jerusalem. So I would say that represents another story of unity that comes out of Shiloh. And then we have another story. If we go ahead into Kings, Kings 1, Melachim Aleph, chapter 11, we have another prophet who's going to come from Shiloh. His name is Achiah. And Achiah, the Shiloni, he is a prophet, and he goes out to meet Yeravam ben Nevat, the son of Nevat, who he meets him in the field, and he's wearing this new robe. And then he takes his new robe, he meets this Yeravam who's just left Jerusalem, and he takes his new robe and he tears it into 12 pieces. And then in passage 31, it says, Vayomer leYeravam, and he says to Yeravam, Kach lecha asara kra'im, take for you 10 pieces, Kiko amar Adonai Elohei Yisrael, because so says God, the Lord of Israel, Hineni korea et hamamlecha miyad Shlomo v'natati lecha asara hashvatim. Behold, I am tearing the kingdom from Shlomo, from Solomon, and I will give you 10 tribes. So this other prophet, very unlike Samuel, Shmuel, is going to come from Shiloh, and he's going to be the source of divide yet again, right? So we have immense unity, immense division, immense unity again, immense division. How is this? What is the story? And maybe this kind of is reflected in Marc's story himself, where you have this man who is like this warrior, and he's the head of security and holds so much in that world of conflict. And at the same time, he's an artist, painting the scenes of the land, painting his own healing through things that words can't say. And maybe that just refers to this space being a space where it's a fine line between conflict and convergence, conflict and unity. And so what does that hold for today? I would say this. One of the things that I find when we talk about this conflict or war in general is when you have a divide of like pieces are not in their place, right? Where you have the ego that's pulling me to a place of conflict, or you have, an external force that's pulling me to a place of conflict. And it's kind of dividing those places. It's interesting, by the way, that in Hebrew, the word for war is milchama, which actually comes from the same root as the word halchama, which means to weld, right? Which is interesting. Also, by the way, lechem, the word for bread, is embedded in milchama, but meaning there's pieces that are being welded together or being pulled apart. There's something about war that on one hand it's conflict, but on the other hand it has within it unity. I think I got on a little bit of a tangent. Either way, I think that something that Marc said stands out. This space holds the opportunity for both. And the question is what we do with it. When I asked Marc, how do you blend those things? He said, I don't want to be fighting. I just don't want people to die, if I quote him. No one really wants war. However, part of that beginning, that root, that source of where we all started in Shiloh, which was united under God who holds space for all 12 tribes, for all humans, the birthplace of the house of prayer for all nations, a place where all people can be just as they are. Right now, we unfortunately are in a time period where there are forces of evil that are trying to pull things apart. And so we have to fight sometimes. But I can also say that one of the ways to battle that is to come and create, to come to be a source of unity, right? Where you have this beautiful man who is saying, where words end, I paint. where he's literally painting in the middle of a battlefield. And what is painting? I'm going to connect that to the idea of prayer. Hannah stood in the place of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle, thousands of years ago, and she births into the world prayer, personal prayer. Now you're probably like, what are you talking about, Franny? Well, Judaism, our prayers, our personal individual prayers, literally all of the laws of how that happened are taken by our sages from that moment and Hannah's prayer. And if Christianity and Islam kind of born from Judaism, then that means that personal prayer is really born in ancient Shiloh. And so when you stand there today, it is a place of peace, an island of peace, and a place of conflict. And I think that there's a power to recognizing what is prayer. Prayer is taking something abstract, a connection with God who doesn't speak, see, he's not human, something that's beyond, that's spiritual, and facilitating something that unites the physical and the spiritual, facilitating something that moves within me, that connects pieces. And I think that art is similar. Art is taking something that's abstract, whether it's a feeling, a trauma, pain, and using tools to create, maybe not in words, but in different form, in paint. And that is really what Marc does. When he said this was really his journey of healing, I think healing is when we unite all the pieces that are not in their place. And I hope and I pray that this space that can hold a place of conflict can become a place of only unity. And that's obviously felt when you come and you bring your story to the land, and you come and you stand at the tabernacle and you add your personal prayers and you add your personal creation, because we're still a people that can be united in this place by being able to fight the things that are trying to create conflict and create war and create death. We have to fight those things. That's actually part of restoring unity. And then with our own stories, come to these places and create memories and create spirituality and create connection. I invite you to come to Shiloh yourself and to see how unifying it feels, how beautiful it feels, and to add your story to this complex and absolutely stunning area of Yehuda and Shomron. And as this episode comes to a close, I want to remind you of the Judea Samaria experience. This is an absolutely incredible experience for you, for travelers who are interested in actually coming to Israel and specifically traveling in Judea and Samaria. And maybe you don't know where to begin. This experience really does help connect you to tour guides, service providers, really unique and cool places that you just wouldn't know about. And it really makes your travel here in the Heartland so much easier. Check out the website, www.Judea and Samaria. That's Judea, JudeaAndSamaria experience.com. I will also link that website in the show notes, so make sure to check it out. Thank you again to Texans for a Safe Israel for helping bring so many people to the heartland of Israel, whether it's virtually by you listening to this podcast or through the Judea Samaria Experience website and travel company. And thank you, of course, to you for joining us, for opening your ears and your hearts. And I can't wait to see you on our next episode.